you a cowgirl from the legendary Rafter 6 Ranch, and it just so happened she was the first ever cowgirl to win the Cowboy Up Challenge at the Calgary Stampede. A Heart of the Horse welcome to the very talented and lovely, this is Kateri Cowley.
Thank you so much. I am so excited to be here and be a part of this show. You know, it's so exciting to really be a student of the horse and really learn from the masters, and these horses are incredible.
Well, aren't they that? They are incredible to say the least. And I mean, the trainers, the horses that came together yesterday, and I always think it is, I'm always in awe of your talent and your ability, and to say that they are masterful really speaks to the level of competition that is here. Just kind of general impression, how did you feel day number one for our trainers?
Oh my goodness, it was so exciting. The horses coming in and the adrenaline and the excitement, and just watching how in just such a short period of time it was such a huge advancement in their education.
I completely agree, and it's amazing when we talked yesterday, what takes some of us days and months takes them seconds and minutes. So it is great to see and continue to watch that unfold. Well, thank you, Kateri, for being alongside this phenomenal team again this year. And also joining us, well, she is a true innovator of the West. She comes from a Hall of Fame and an award-winning family. She is a rancher, she is a barrel racer, she is a cutting horse rider, and she is an educator. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Miss Haley Stewart.
Thank you, Brett.
Well, Haley, I know that we have had an opportunity to kind of talk offline before we got started, and I think when all of us spent a little while ago, big smiles on our faces, we loved every minute of yesterday. If there was a highlight from yesterday, what do you think it was for you?
Well, that's hard to pick just one, because there were so many incredible moments. I think probably watching Dustin lope his horse around in the pen, and it was so calm and quiet. But then there was also some really big aha moments from Craig and Steve, so I can't pick just one.
I love, the political appropriateness of your answer, so thank you. I appreciate it so much. So we have talked about some special guests joining us for this episode of our pre-show that is brought to us by Zoetis. And one of the things that I know Nikki Thunder and the team here at Heart of the Horse is so proud to have is really kind of the best of the best when it is to making up the minds of who is going to take home this very coveted prize. So with that, we are privileged to be joined by our judging team. The first cowboy that we would like to introduce to you, he may be making his Heart of the Horse debut, but he would find his way to the winner's circle early in his career, back in the early 80s even. He was a bronc riding champion at the Calgary Stampede, and after a very successful rodeo career, he would gain notoriety across the world as one of the most successful cutting horse trainers in the game. But it just so happens he proudly hails from Alberta, Canada. Please welcome Judge Mr. Keith Stewart. Oh, it is so great to see him, and the two people that will join him, well, I said it yesterday and I'll say it again, it's kind of the rose between two thorns, eh? If you were here earlier today, you watched an incredible demonstration from this multi-talented horsewoman. She is truly world-class when it comes to working equitation. Last year, she competed as a competitor in the Colt starting competition, and what a phenomenal job she did. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Judge the oh-so-talented, this is Jill Barron. And last but not least, he is a true legend in the game. He was the first ever man to win a Canadian Saddle Bronc riding title and a World Saddle Bronc riding title in the very same year. That Canadian title that year, well, that was one of many Canadian championships that have been bestowed and earned by this man. He is a true icon in our industry, and he is a phenomenal clinician and horse trainer. Ladies and gentlemen, it is with immense pride that we introduce to this arena the legend that is Mr. Mel Highland. Oh, what a team. I'll tell you, I'm surrounded by greatness here. It is a true understatement. As I look to my left, this judging team, phenomenally talented. And I said yesterday, I had an opportunity to kind of ease my way up and listen to the conversation that you three were having. And I said, I think that conversation probably needs to go on the live stream because of all the education I got in the few minutes. And I say, as I look to Mr. Stewart first, I know it's kind of the rookie of the club. Now, I'm not sure you've been called a rookie in a long time, but the Heart of the Horse rookie, I would love to just kind of get your general impression. How did you feel after day one, and what were your first few thoughts?
Well, I was super impressed with the talent, and the horses these guys picked, they were as individual as the trainers were, you know. You could tell after maybe watching them on their pick like that, the different kinds of horses that they liked, and I think they all did a super good job. Mel and I were visiting about this earlier today. You know, there's a timeline put on here, but the horse doesn't really have a timeline. So if you're working with one that in that period of time, in that moment, he's willing to get along real well, things could go pretty good. And if you've got one that maybe is a little more distracted, has got some other things on his mind, well, you're kind of up against it. And all in all, I think they did a great job.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, and I appreciate that answer. And I guess now I'll maybe lean to Joe Barron, and probably maybe along those same lines. We talked about that timeline yesterday, and there's maybe things that, you know, you wouldn't accomplish in maybe 6, 8, 10 rides, but you know that you need to because of the compulsory things that are coming through Sunday. Now, there's maybe nobody better to speak to that because a year ago, you were in it. You had to push the pace last year. How big a deal is that timeline for you as a trainer when you're in the pen?
The timeline is so important. You have that 20-minute break yesterday, and I find the 20-minute break is kind of one of the most importantly placed breaks of the whole competition. So I really watched them to see when they were going to take their break, and they did a phenomenal job yesterday. It was a pleasure to watch, and it was, like you said, pretty cool to be the eye in the sky up there. I kind of felt like the Muppets in the balcony with these two up there a little bit, but it was really fun, and I can't wait to see what today brings. But that timeline is something else. Unless you've been in that round pen, in that situation, with that clock ticking, you have no idea what that feels like. And I remember last year, that was one of the biggest things, is time's ticking, so.
And I guess just maybe one more follow-up. When you talked about last year, or if we talk about last year, was there anything that maybe surprised you? Was it maybe that timepiece, or was it harder than you thought you were going to be? Because I just kind of lean on that quote that you said. It kind of makes me think like the man in the arena. Until you're in there, you don't know. Did it surprise even you, even with all your experience yesterday or over your career?
It surprised me so much because I had never set a watch to working with a Colt before. And I had full intentions on starting a Colt before coming into the competition, but I had 3 broken ribs, so I couldn't. So I literally went in blind and just kind of went with it, but it's something you have to really be aware of and work with. So it adds a lot of pressure to the whole deal.
Yeah, I can only imagine it. Again, I'm not getting in that arena anytime soon. But a man that has been in the arena for, let's say, and we say with all due respect, for decades, he is a true legend in every sense of the word, in every part of this world. Mr. Mel Highland, I would just love to get your impression, kind of what did it feel like for you yesterday, and how do you think the Colts are going so far from yesterday's performance?
Hey, we got 3 great trainers out there. They know their stuff. There's 2 of them for sure that are kind of comparable when you look at them. And then the other fella off the West Coast there, and I tease him a little bit. I've known him for a while. But that guy's very talented. So he's got a different approach to the other 2. So he started, for example, without a rope, which us guys in ranch country, you know, they pack a rope all the time. So if you go to California, you're not going to find a lot of guys or gals that can even swing a rope to start with. You know, that's not their thing. They got a coach at their indoor facility they ride at,
right,
and they tell them when and what to do and why. So, and that's what we're here to do here, is to explain 3 different guys, 3 humans who think like humans and yet have put themselves in a position to try and think like a horse and operate these 3 different animals, which are 3 different animals. Again, 3 different persons, 3 different persons working there. So them guys know their stuff, and they're gonna, I think the time frame causes some problems. I've been in there, and I know that an hour flies by when you're working with a Colt and trying to explain to somebody what you're doing. So I'd say I know that they got themselves in a pickle here and there, but they'll work it out today. And then the cool part is that they know and we know that the horse will allow you to make a mistake and say, look at you dumb human, go ahead and try again.
Oh, I love it. Thank you so much. I appreciate that perspective. And I think maybe Joe Barron's that coach in California that you were talking about sometimes. Pretty cool.
All right, well, I've got a good question for Jill, because you have got the experience of being in the round pen and up in the judges' stand. And I just kind of want to know, what were you feeling when those horses were coming in for the first time? Were you kind of watching and judging which horse you would pick through and what were you looking for?
Are you kidding me? My heart was jumping out of my chest. I was wanting to know which colt I was gonna pick, but I was lucky I got to see them beforehand, so I kind of went through them and I already had my picks, but I was watching my picks to see how they would react and respond, and yeah, it's an exciting moment, and I'll never ever forget standing in the dirt, watching them run around me and trying to pick my dance partner, and hope I picked right.
I like how you said that, your dance partner, because really it is a connection that happens in that round pen. But like, was there something that kind of drew you into that horse? Like, is it the eye, the way, the movement, or?
I just watched, well, they have to be good movers for me, number one, but how they interact in the herd and in stimulus and where they are in the herd, if they're leading, if they're trailing, if they're pushing, if they're timid, if they're, I mean, there's a lot of things going through your mind as you're watching them go around there. You're just, basically you have the herd dynamic to go off of. But I'm gonna be a part of that herd, so that's what I'm watching.
Beautiful.
I guess I have a question for the bronc riders in the group. So, Keith, how does it feel? A lot of people, when you were starting colts, they came to you because you were a bronc rider and they're anticipating that you can ride their little bronc. But from watching you outside the round pen all those years, there wasn't a lot of bronc rides going on. So how did you avoid that? Or how that never come into the equation?
I think when you're younger, and maybe you've got a background, and Mel would know this, more than I would even, if they want a buck, that's not that a big deal. But as you get a little bit older, you're starting to look for ways to, first of all, you don't want to be the colt starter that everybody says they're bad ones too. You want to have an opportunity to ride some nice horses. So you start maybe thinking a little bit more about how to make the horse understand what you're looking for, and maybe give them a little bit more of a thoughtful approach, rather than just, I'm going to get my saddle on you and we're going to get this done. Plus, the population has changed. The kind of horses that were broke years ago in that manner, we might get them to where they're not bucking very much, but down the road, that's still in their toolbox. If you allowed to have it and you had it set up, that that's the way it was, that somebody that maybe is not capable of handling it would have to deal with it down the road. So the public, the changing we're seeing in horsemanship, it's really brought on, I think, by the public, But they don't want those kind of horses anymore.
Absolutely not. Mel, would you agree with that?
Yeah, definitely. And you can go back to some of our peers, the guys that we called heroes to us, were our horsemanship heroes, and they would tell you the horse has changed. He's not the same as he used to be. And I used to say, well, they kept all the good horses south of the 49th parallel, and anything of that breed they didn't want, they sent them to Canada. So we had to get on the two-eyed jacks that all bucked, and the Hancocks as well, so that's how it worked. But getting back to the cowboy thing, it doesn't hurt to be a cowboy. There's nothing wrong with being a cowboy. The fact that you can or can't swing a rope is not really the issue. The issue here that we're trying to present to the public, I think, is the fact that you are capable. There's no magic in this. It looks magical. And some of us would keep it thinking that it's magical just to keep it going. But the truth is, it's not magical. It's all in there for everybody. It's just how deep are you willing to dig into yourself, commit yourself to giving a willing communication to your horse. Where you and our partners, you're running the show, so you got 51%. You're the CEO, but you're still looking at things as a partnership, and you love your horse. because he is a horse, just to start with. That's all it takes. And if you can love your horse that way, and then reason with him and say, yeah, but I got to run the show. And then we'll work it out from there. So they're simple.
Nice. So eloquently said, Val.
Certainly, and I'm not sure there's a better way to end this conversation than on those words. The legend said it. It's okay to be a cowboy. We're going to see some cowboys at work in just a few moments from right now. But first and foremost, how about a huge round of applause for this incredible group of judges, truly accomplished, wonderfully talented. Ladies and gentlemen, round number 2 of the Heart of the Horse World Class Colt Starting Competition is coming up next.